Let's head back to Woodsboro for some more murder and mayhem. Let's get into it. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Hope you're all doing well out there, and that's right, we are heading back to Woodsboro for some more murder and mayhem. But before we get into it, like, comment, subscribe. Join me here, I would appreciate that. Click on the little notification bell, that way every time I upload a video, you'll get notified and you can see what the hell I got going on over here. And today we're going to talk about Scream 4. This is the only Scream I haven't reviewed yet. I've done 1, 2, 3. If you scroll on down, you can find those reviews. On Thursday, this coming Thursday, Scream 2022 opens. I'm going to see it with my buddy Dale A from the Bat and Spider podcast. By the way, check those guys out wherever you get your podcast. And I will have an out of the theater reaction video for that film. I'm very excited about this new Scream film, and I hope it's as good as I think it's going to be. Now, this film came out 11 years after Scream 3. This came out April 15th of 2011, rated R like the rest of them, an hour and 51 minutes, had a $40 million budget, and upon release, it only made 38 in America and 97 worldwide. So this was the lowest grossing out of the first 4 Scream films, unfortunately. This was actually originally supposed to come out on the 10th anniversary of the original film, or 10 years, the 10-year anniversary from Scream 3. But unfortunately, Kevin Williamson came back to write the script, but he repeatedly clashed with the Weinstein brothers, and there was a lot of rewrites. They brought Aaron Kruger in to do a lot of rewrites, and it pushed the release date back a whole year. So that's why it's 11 years, but this did come out 15 years after the release of the original film. Now, Wes Craven was back to direct this film. As a matter of fact, this is the one horror franchise where, until that point, there was only 4 films in the franchise until this one coming out, that the same main characters and the same director were in all 4 films, which is pretty astounding. And Neve Campbell was back as Sidney Prescott. Courtney Cox is back as Gail Riley. Her and Dewey are married in this film. David Arquette's back as Dewey Riley, or the chief. He's the sheriff of this little town now. Hayden Panettiere is Kirby in this film, and I know a lot of fans love this character because it's basically a chick that's geeking out over horror, and she's really good in this film. She's awesome. Emma Roberts plays Jill. She is Neve Campbell's cousin in this film. And Rory Culkin plays Charlie Walker. He's a part of this like film club at school, and he plays an integral role in the film. And Marley Shelton plays Deputy Judy Hicks in this film as well. And pretty much this is a film, it shows, at the beginning of the film, we see, well, it's a couple false starts. It shows different stab movies, how they start those movies, until we get into the real movie. There's 2 of them, and then we get into the real film. And right away out of the gate, they're talking about remakes and torture porn, which was still a thing at the time when this was released. So they're definitely still being meta and talking about the current state of horror. And even sequels, they talk about sequels, because by that point, I think they're up to Stab 7 or 8 by this point when this movie was released, which is funny because this is Scream 4. But they really do comment on sequels, and studio just vomiting out sequels for money. So they do get into that. And the opening's pretty good. The first couple fake openings, the second one I think is better than the first one. When I first saw this in the theaters, I'm like, this can't be the opening of the film. And then when they pull the fake where it's actually the movie, and then we get to the real people that are in the film. And basically, Sydney is coming back to Woodsboro. She's on a book tour. She wrote a book. And this is about her getting over her past and moving on with her life. And we find out that Dewey and Gail are married, and Gail is no longer a reporter, and her goal is to write a book as well, but she definitely has writer's block, and she's finding life in Woodsboro a tad boring. But besides the murders to open the film, the murders in Woodsboro start right away as soon as Sydney gets to town. And this time, the killer is videoing the movies, although we don't know that until later in the film. He's actually filming all the films, although Roman did it in part 3 to a certain extent, but in this one, they're recording it all. And they, again, as with the other 3, I think they do hide the identity of the killer or killers in this aspect. They hide the identity pretty good, and there's a lot of red herrings in this film. And the kills are pretty brutal as well. And there's a lot of other notable character actors that show up. Anthony Anderson's in this film, and there's other people that you'll recognize as soon as you see them pop up on screen. And there's a lot of deaths in this film. Again, the kills are pretty brutal. Nothing we haven't seen before, but they're definitely they're very brutal and in your face in this film. And basically at the end of the film, we get this last showdown at Kirby's house, and we find out that Jill and Charlie have been doing this together. And Jill is pretty much, and I gotta give Emma Roberts credit, she does play Psycho really well here. And she's just looking for fans and notoriety. That's all she wants. And she's sick of living in Sydney's shadow because growing up, all she heard about was Sydney this, Sydney that. She even says that in the film. But then she kills Charlie because she said what the public really wants is a lone survivor, which you could see that coming a mile away. Now, the two people that were responsible for it, Jill and Charlie, I didn't see that coming, but her killing Charlie, when it happened, I wasn't surprised by that, even when I saw it for the first time in the movies that opening weekend. And then we think Sydney's dead, and of course she's not. She's still alive in ICU. And Jill damaged herself, and she's in the hospital. And as soon as Dewey tells her, she goes down to Sid's room to try to finish her off, which you could tell this chick is definitely psychotic, because at this point you're not getting away with it. You're going to prison because there's no way to set this up or blame anybody else at this point. And they dispatch of Jill, and that's the end of the film. And well, Sydney gets to say, "Don't fuck with the original," which is kind of funny. It's a pretty cool line. Scream 4, I really like this film. I think this is actually, I like all the Scream films. Now, Scream 3 would be it'd be the one, I enjoy Scream 3, don't get me wrong, but it's definitely a step down compared to the first two, and I think this one's better than part 3. I'll do a ranking video after the new one comes out, and I review that one. I'll have a Scream ranking video out, and we'll see how the new one falls into place here. But I really like Scream 4. I think it's well done in terms of scripting. Wes Craven's directing is really well done, as always. He's always very, very solid and very good. He's one of the masters of horror, and this was his last directorial film before he passed away in 2015, sadly. The only thing I would say I think the acting's really well done. I think the script's really well done. I really have no complaints with that or the kills. I think it's all really works here. It's not as good as the original film, but it's a pretty damn good sequel, considering this is the 4th installment in the franchise. My one thing, and even back when I saw it originally, is some of the lighting or the way it's shot. Now, I think it's well directed and well constructed, but there's a lot of distortion in the image. And I don't know if that's because they shot it in widescreen, but whenever there's a car or cars, there's a softness to the film that's not there in the other 3. And it just looks a little off. I don't know if anybody else has noticed it or if it bothers them. Leave a comment down below, let me know on that one. But I don't know, none of the other 3 films are like that, but in this one it's severely noticeable. The distortion in certain scenes, especially with cars, the headlights coming towards you. I know that can happen in some of Carpenter's films, like they're shooting widescreen, it happens, but not to this extent in this film. And the lighting scheme itself, I don't like it as much as the other 3 films. Now, he was switching it up. That's fine. That's his preference. But it's always bugged me ever since I first saw it. And watching it again last night, it definitely was apparent about the lighting scheme and some of the shots look distorted. And it definitely looks a little softer than the first 3 films. Now, that's a filmmaker's choice. I mean, he decided to go a little different route, and I respect that. But it's always kind of bugged me. So that's one of my negatives about this film. Now, Wes Craven never thought they'd make a 4th film. The 3rd one was meant to be the final Scream movie. And he said, I know over the years there was a lot of talk because it was a huge franchise. All 3 films did really well. And there was always talk of, the fans always wanted another one. And when Kevin Williamson finally decided, him and Wes got together and Kevin Williamson said he'd write the script. Although Kevin Williamson battled with the Weinstein brothers constantly about the script. And that's why I said in the beginning about they brought Aaron Kruger back, who wrote the 3rd film, to do rewrites on the film. Now, according to Wes Craven, especially back then, the story and the characters, everything was pretty much the same as in Kevin Williamson's script. Aaron just changed a few small things. Now, Kevin Williamson, if you find some interviews or some quotes from him, he said he did a lot of rewriting. So who knows what's true. The Weinsteins were notorious for messing with filmmakers and writers. So none of this is surprising. I don't know why people continued to work with them that late into their career, because they were obviously assholes. But whatever. I still think we still got a solid Scream film. And the knife in this film is CGI throughout the film. Yeah, no retractable knife here. It was all CGI. You can't really tell either. If you look close enough in a few scenes, you can notice it when they go to stab somebody. But really, they did a really nice job. Overall, I really like Scream 4. I would give Scream 4 an 8 out of 10. I think it's a really solid sequel and a hell of a good sequel considering this is the 4th installment. And I think that's because they kept the same director. Wes Craven was a very seasoned director by this point. I mean, not every film Wes Craven ever did was a hit or even works fundamentally, but he was a very solid filmmaker. He was one of our great horror filmmakers, and I think that helps in terms of a franchise where the same director did all 4 films. Now, I am very excited about the new film and the team of directors from Ready or Not, because I love that film. So I'm excited to see what we get this coming Thursday. But yeah, 8 out of 10 for Scream 4. What are your thoughts on this sequel? Leave a comment down below. Let me know. Hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, share this really great. Would appreciate that. I'll be back on Thursday with an out of theater reaction for the new Scream film, and I'll have Blade this week. And until then, bye.